If I can ask you to do anything in this video, it's save your comments for the end. It's really easy to tell when someone leaves a comment disputing the entire video when they've never even watched it. So sit back, relax, and enjoy, because who knows, maybe you'll realize this is a game you absolutely need. So Shadow the Hedgehog, to say the least, was a game that I'm sure no one asked for. But even despite that, there is fun to be had in this game. It may be one of the most ridiculous concepts ever written on paper, but dang it, I'll defend things like the gunplay for the rest of my life. But the point of every sequel is to learn from the original game, see what worked, see what didn't, see what needs small tweaks, see what needs to be removed entirely. And honestly, when looking in the perspective of developing a sequel to Shadow the Hedgehog, there are serious changes that need to be made, but not as many as you may think. So let's start things off here. Who is Shadow the Hedgehog? And I don't mean his character specifically, I more so mean mechanically. Well, I'd say he's a high-speed hedgehog just like Sonic, but when making a game called Shadow the Hedgehog, there needs to be a mechanical difference between these characters to justify this being known as his game. This is the design philosophy of many games, including the original. This is where they added the gunplay of Shadow. However, this is where I feel they got confused with Shadow's character. Shadow is proficient at using guns now, but it's almost as if they forgot that Shadow is supposed to be fast too. And by this, I don't mean specifically his movement speed. I mean the level design. The level design is made in a way that regardless of how you play, it's nearly impossible to gain a fluidity using your speed. Sonic games are known for this sort of thing, however, games like Sonic Lost World have also encountered this problem. In many of the stages, you can tell Sega prioritized platforming over speed. And in my opinion, when you're making a game about a character, that character's flagship ability needs to be prioritized over everything else. Even if they wanted to make platforming extremely important to that game, which they still easily could, they would just need to greatly alter the type of platforming that the game included. But it's clear they wanted to go for a supersonic galaxy over everything else. Imagine if they made a Spider-Man game, but because of how the game is designed, you really couldn't go all out and swing around how you wanted. Could you see that being known as the best Spider-Man game? I don't personally think so. The best game wouldn't sacrifice what makes Spider-Man great just to add something new. It would add something new on top of what already makes Spider-Man great. So now with this in mind, a Shadow game needs to prioritize speed first, due to him being a high-speed hedgehog. But this time, instead of guns, I think Shadow's character needs to be considered more. For instance, I think when Shadow was introduced in Sonic Adventure 2, I think two big points we noticed about his character outside his looks is that he's fast like Sonic, and he can manipulate the Chaos Emeralds to gain abilities like Chaos Control. So I think the next bet to make on a Shadow game is a game where we'll be collecting the Chaos Emerald. Let's say because a huge threat emerges from another dimension and Sonic and crew alongside Shadow and the gang are up to stop him. With these games, establishing Shadow as more of an anti-hero, I find that him trying to fly solo for this would be for the best, though I think having help from Rouge and others in stages would be pretty cool. But okay, stage to stage, we're hunting down Chaos Emeralds. I think having 8 to 10 stages, boss stages included, is a nice amount for a game styled in this way. Plus, it adds to its replayability. But we'd start out with the Chaos Emerald, and with the Chaos Emerald we'd be able to use Chaos Control. But here's the twist. I think we should be able to use multiple different abilities with a single Chaos Emerald. I'd say up to 3 different powers with a single Chaos Emerald would let us be able to have decent usage even from the first stage. But say as we gather more and say we're at 4 Chaos Emeralds, I feel though from the pause menu we should be able to, despite carrying them all for story purposes, we should be able to equip up to 2 emeralds at once, giving us 6 different abilities to use in a stage at a time. And it's kind of a given here, but they'll need to make up a bunch of different powers for the Chaos Emeralds. Despite how many games they're in, we honestly don't know much about them. They're mystical and it's totally feasible that they hold powers like Sega hasn't really begun to explore yet. Just as an example of some powers, I think one called Chaos Trick would be awesome. With it, it'll allow us to line up nearby enemies to a hidden pathway. The game still prioritizes speed, but with the game is built in the style of adventure, heroes, and Shadow, etc. So while we're speeding through the stage, using the power would line up those badniks off the stage towards a hidden platform that leads us off to a different area. This aids something that I'll bring up later. But the next one I think would be cool is Chaos Switch. It's an ability Shadow can use that would manipulate the stage and completely change the level design. In a way, it would be a different stage now, maybe even a version of the stage from the main villain's dimension? But either way, it'd be designed to be shorter, so getting a higher rank on the stage would be easier. But the drawback is that the stage is a lot harder. The platforming is tighter and it will require a greater understanding of the controls and having adequate timing in order to succeed. This is a good balance of how that move should be used, and I can really see it being used in speedruns. It gets use out of the Chaos Emeralds, we get intricate platforming, and speed is necessary in order to complete it. One more for the sake of the video though, I think that would be cool is Chaos Warp. With this ability, Shadow can have a partner teleported to the stage to help him out. Depending on the stage and partner, this can lead to a variety of different outcomes. Things such as finding areas that can only be reached with the help of a friend, meaning something like Chaos Trick and Chaos Switch won't get you there. Like if he called on Tails for example, he could help Shadow reach an area high up that leads to a special stage, an upgrade for Shadow's shoes, or abilities. If he called upon Sonic, the two of them could team up and create a whirlwind to attack all foes on screen, or an explosion that wipes everyone out. I think calling upon Rouge would be cool too, as she can have the Chaos Emerald be easier to achieve by beating the stage. But with that point said, I think it's time I explain the game and level structure. So I said before, the game is laid out like Adventure 2, Heroes, and Shadow, but I think Chaos Emeralds need to be a reward for doing well on the stage. Making them required to continue sounds obvious, but I feel like giving players the option to take as long as they need to explore and try out new things, finding hidden stuff, should be made available. When you get to the end, just like in a lot of Sonic games, you'll likely get a bad ending, but you can easily just open up a stage select screen and replay the stage you missed an emerald in. With this structure, people can fly through the stage and just beat it as quickly as possible, just getting to the end and beat the game, but people can also choose to explore new routes, which leads to what I teased earlier. But I do want to interject here. I know I implied that doing well on the stage means you get an emerald, but I want to specify that doing well is not equal to beating it fast. The Chaos Emerald can be earned at the end of the stage by numerous different means, whether it's getting it because you took an alternate route or because of you finding neat things during it. Doing all these things adds to your score, and the Chaos Emerald is earned through that, not by specifically how fast you did it, but beating it fast can be a factor if that's how you chose to play it. You just need very good times. But back on track now, I think that the multiple route structure of Shadow should return. However, I feel it needs to be tweaked. I think it should be done by whenever you beat a stage, the next level you go to is determined by what exit you took in the previous stage. Like say when you called Tails in the previous stage, he flew you to an area you couldn't get to otherwise, and you raced to the end this way. This exit being a different exit than what you would have gone through without Tails' help. Or for example, Knuckles. He dug down and helped us get to an area we wouldn't have gotten to otherwise, which leads to a remainder of the current stage and the next level to be different than the normal and Tails route. And from a story perspective, I think those that helped him along the way will be there at the end during the final boss fight and there in the story and cutscenes. Obviously, this will change the ending and outcome depending on who's there. Like for example, if you had Sonic and Knuckles help, you'd go all out, being super at the end and finish off the threat together. I think that'd be neat and would satisfy the different endings and outcomes that people loved from the first game. I think we can make it even more radical that if Shadow worked with Eggman in a stage, Eggman betrays Shadow at the end, creating a completely different final boss. How you approach this ending would differ depending on if you had other characters there with you when you're betrayed by Eggman. With outcomes like this, it makes reasons to replay the game, reasons to replay the stages and take different routes, and reasons to use the different abilities. But these are what I think would make a true sequel to Shadow the Hedgehog perfect. Of course, there's more, to know about the game. The story, for instance, is it actually a sequel to Shadow 1, or is it just a new Shadow game? Well, I think I'll leave that answer to you. Which would you want it to be? Do you like the ideas I presented? Let me know down in the comments below. Much love to all the new viewers and supporters of the channel. And if you enjoy these kinds of videos, let me know down in the comments below. Oh, and let me know what kinds of things Nintendo you all really like. I'm interested in covering more Nintendo stuff, so that information would be really great. But anyways, thanks for watching. My name is Kingdom Ace, and remember my words of courage to stay strong, stay beautiful, and always look skyward. Later!